Hi, everyone. Welcome to Project Community Connect's workshop on how to recognize scams and fraudsters. My name is Mary Ann Floto, and I work in community impact. I'm pleased to introduce Stephen Zaguirre, who will make a presentation regarding how to recognize scams and frauds. In 2019, Steve joined the Office of the Attorney General as the Northern Virginia Community Outreach Coordinator. Stephen's region covers approximately 17 counties in the Commonwealth, including some in the DC metro area. As community outreach coordinator, Stephen's role is to educate the public regarding a variety of public safety topics and social issues. Additionally, his role is to link agencies and individuals with the resources available through the Office of the Virginia Attorney General. Stephen has over a decade of uniformed law enforcement experience in both Louisiana and Texas prior to joining the Office of Attorney General Mark Herring. Stephen, welcome.
Thank you, Mary Ann. I appreciate the introduction, and thank you everyone for joining us today to learn a little bit about scams and frauds that can target you in your daily lives. So today I'll have a presentation, and for the convenience of bandwidth, I'll just stop my video here and we'll go to our presentation. So today we're going to discuss how to recognize scams and frauds. Again, my name is Stephen Zaguirre, and I do community outreach for the Attorney General here in Virginia. That would be Mark Herring. Our office strives to push out this important information to the public very frequently because scams and frauds, they're always coming up with new trends, new methods, and are always on the prowl to get into your pocketbooks. So, who are the scammers? What types of scams are there? What do you do if you become a victim? And what are some resources? That's what I want to cover today. Generally, this presentation has the objective of giving you a basic overview and a basic understanding of common scams and frauds. This is in no way all-inclusive of the many scams and frauds that are out there. And I highly encourage you to seek out more information through some federal resources like the Federal Trade Commission, the FBI, or your local Attorney General's office. YouTube additionally has really great videos from local news outlets and also from those same federal partners I just mentioned that provide educational videos and can give you more information on this topic. Additionally, today our objective is to learn methods to identify those scams and frauds and what to do once you've encountered them. Whenever I speak about scams and frauds with the public, I like to present this picture because I really feel like this illustrates what it's like to interact with unknown parties on the internet, or dealing with phone calls from unknown numbers, and dealing with folks you don't know at the front door. It's important to remain informed and vigilant on scams and frauds, much like being out on the beach or in the water like in this picture. You have to be aware of your surroundings around you, above you, and below you. In this picture, what we see is some folks enjoying water, paddleboarding and kayaking, but beneath the waves is some possible danger, which here is illustrated by a shark. Do these folks know that there's a large shark under the water, that we know as to be an aggressive predator? Are they aware of that? And being out there is very much like this picture. Cons, like sharks, are predators. They only care about eating or taking your money. They are not motivated by any other factor other than they're trying to get as much money from you as they can to improve their life. Unfortunately, unlike most common good people, they're not really moved by your personal feelings. They don't care that you've worked a hard life or that you might be having some difficult situations and that you really need the money that you have earned. A lot of them believe that perhaps their life is has had some more difficult challenges and has some more difficult circumstances than yours. And in a sense, they feel like taking your money is justified. A lot of these con artists do have the ability to mask their locations, but data does show that a lot of them are in foreign countries. So some foreign countries, unfortunately, don't have the same quality of lifestyle that we find here in the United States. And so some of these scam artists really look towards Americans as a source of money, and what they do is really a form of reparations. They're not too worried about getting caught. As I mentioned, a lot of them are located in foreign countries. So because of that, it could make it a little bit more difficult for the arms of justice to reach out and hold them accountable. In addition to that, most scams are not even reported. The last statistics that I had available to me show that about 1 in 25 scams were reported. Unfortunately, a lot of the victims of scams feel embarrassed, especially older folks. They'll have a fear of telling loved ones because they might be looked at a little bit differently. Again, the scam artists don't really care that you've worked too hard and have those difficult circumstances, but they do know that sometimes these scams can be confusing and difficult to explain. That, combined with technology, allowing them to mask their IP addresses, makes it a little bit difficult for them to get caught. All right, so the next slide. A scam in practice can have a few different phases. One of the things that the scam artists will do when they reach out to you, either whether it be an email, a text message, or a phone communication, is they want to try to establish a rapport with you and some trust using deception. So, for example, they may make a phone call using a spoofed caller ID, identifying them as local law enforcement, and then upon speaking with you, identify themselves as a local police officer and hoping to establish that rapport and trust with you as a person of authority. They'll move on to the next step, which is to communicate that there's an urgent matter or emergency that needs your attention. For example, perhaps you have an unpaid parking ticket and now there's a warrant for your arrest. This would be an urgent matter that would need your attention. So they would then move on and demand information from you to confirm who you are, or may demand a payment. If there's any pushback, typically these scam artists, they will reinforce that urgency by saying that there's a warrant for the person's arrest. Deputies or officers may be already en route to the residence, and that their arrest is imminent unless the matter is taken care of immediately by phone. A lot of the times people get scared and they try to resolve the matter by phone, giving credit card information, or sometimes even given banking information and making payments by gift cards. And unfortunately, once this happens, the victim loses out on some money. The Federal Trade Commission does have great videos about scam topics. In particular, this one here is about how scammers typically would like for you to pay. I would say that a big red flag with anyone calling you wanting payments, especially if they're identifying themselves as the government, if they're wanting you to pay with a gift card, don't pay it. You know, the United States government, your local government, is not going to accept any kinds of payments for debts due by way of gift card, iTunes card, Money Pack, Green Dot card. None of those would be acceptable methods for paying any kind of government fines. So here's a short video about that.
Here at the Federal Trade Commission, we see a lot of different scams, but all scammers want to get your money as quickly as possible in a way that makes it hard to trace them and hard for you to get your money back. I'm going to tell you about some of the common ways scammers want you to pay. Once you know them, you'll know how to spot a scam, and you'll know to be careful if someone asks you to pay that way. First, there's wiring money. Somebody might call you, maybe about a prize you won, a loved one in trouble, or because you supposedly owe taxes or some kind of fee. The story sounds real, and maybe even alarming. The person on the phone rushes you to Western Union or MoneyGram to send the money. But wiring money is like sending cash. You'll almost never get it back, and scammers know that. Another favorite of scammers are gift cards or cash reload cards. Here's how it works. Those same people call, and again, there's a prize, a family emergency, or some fee they want you to pay. They tell you to go to the store and put money on a gift card, like an iTunes card, or a cash reload card, like MoneyPack, Vanilla Reload, or Reload It. Sometimes they'll even stay on the phone with you while you go to the store. Once your money's loaded onto the card, they'll ask for the card's registration numbers. That lets them get the money right away, and you're left with nothing. So now you know, if anyone ever says you have to wire money or pay them with a gift card or cash reload card, that's a scam. No matter who they say they are or how urgent it seems, stop, get off the phone, talk to someone, and then tell us at ftc.gov/complaint.
All right. So next video. I'm sorry, next slide. So here's the fraudster's toolbox. This is a little illustration to kind of show you the different tactics and tools available to them to do what they do. For a person making these calls or sending these emails, being a con artist, this is their profession. It's not an amateur for the most part. You know, these are folks that are making these calls day in, day out. They're going to call centers sometimes to do it. So a lot of them do have a lot of experience. Spoofing is on the top left of this illustration, and that's a valuable tool in the modern scam artist's toolbox. Spoofing is basically a digital mask that allows someone to appear like someone else. Technology has advanced a lot over the past few decades. The use of internet to make phone calls instead of your typical phone lines has really allowed for voice over IP phone calls. You got, for example, Google. Google has the ability to give you a phone number. You can make phone calls from that phone number. That's an example of voice over IP. You don't actually have a hard line to your house. You have a digital phone number and you are making digital calls through Google Voice, just as an example. There are many services like that that are available. And so these con artists use that kind of technology to be able to get a digital phone line, and then they use additional software to spoof who they are. And so by spoofing, they have a digital mask that, for example, allows them to appear on your caller ID as the local police department. They could also appear as a federal agency, or sometimes even they could appear as your own phone number. There has been several instances where folks get a phone call to their cell phones, and on the caller ID is their own phone number. And a lot of folks will pick up out of curiosity, wondering how could the phone be ringing with their own phone number? And next thing you know, they're talking to a con artist. They can also use digital masks to mask who they are via email and websites. Additionally, they could just use slightly one-off misspellings that someone who's in the rush of trying to find information may not notice that it's a 0 instead of an O, or it's a 1 instead of an L. And so those kinds of little details can be overlooked. They'll closely resemble the legitimate email address of a company or of an agency, but it's really just one letter off and folks aren't catching it. So spoofing is a real valuable tool for them to be able to trick most folks into these little schemes. Impersonating, kind of, again, they're playing the part. All right, they're going to play an authority of some kind, whether that be the IRS, your local town police, the district attorney, the attorney general's office, They have a few different options they can pick from. Develop a storyline and impersonate that authority to try to get you to hand over some money or personal information. The third option is social. So we have a lot of information available on the internet nowadays. You could go to Google. Additionally, there's companies that are known as like data mining companies that focus on collecting publicly available data and compiling it into one online database that you could access. I'll give you an example. There's a website called familytreenow.com that is a repository of public information. And you can look someone up through that website and get a lot of information about someone. I came to the realization of that website through a news article I read in the news. So these companies exist out there. You know, we have social media. A lot of us put a lot of pictures about our daily lives. We put where we're at. We tag ourselves, our location. We turn GPS and geotagging on our cell phones, and our cameras are attached to our phones. And so when we take photos, a lot of the times there's metadata, that's what it's called, metadata, that provides location information that is attached to the photo. And someone who can have a little bit of tech know-how can look at that data and find out the location of that photo and where it was taken. So if we're taking pictures of ourselves at home in our front yard, and if we don't have our settings appropriately configured to protect our privacy, someone could potentially look at that photo online, look at the data attached to that photo, and then reveal your address. So that could be a safety issue, especially with like youth or people who are maybe survivors of domestic violence, some things that they need to be aware of when posting information on social media. But in in the context of scams, we're posting who our friends are, we're posting who our relatives are, and if our privacy settings are not correct or not optimal, that information could be easily accessible to someone who is not within our friend circle. Another thing that the scam artists can do is try to join your inner circle as a friend. And so if you get a friend request from someone you don't know, I don't recommend that you add them. A lot of times we're a little hesitant to turn someone down because we don't, want to hurt someone's feelings or just kind of get someone upset with us because perhaps we met them at a party or at a business event and we just don't remember them. If you don't know who they are, don't add them to your friends list. Additionally, I would caution you to add someone who is already on your friends list. So a duplicate friend request. Be very cautious with those. I'll backtrack here just a little bit. So if someone is able to get into your social circle, you add someone who you think you might know, or you just add someone to add them. And if it's a con artist, they can then pretty much access your profile, get your photos, create a duplicate profile that appears to be yours, and then send out friend requests to your contacts. And so someone on the other end would then see a duplicate of you. A lot of times they'll use a storyline like, "Oh, my account got compromised. It's been hacked. This is my new account. Please delete the other one." And next thing you know, folks have deleted you and added the scam artist. And what they'll do from there is they'll use like Messenger or some other communication to reach out to your friends and say, "Hey, look, I'm having a tough time. I got an emergency. I need $100-$300 for XYZ reason." And your friends may want to help you out, thinking it's really you, and send some money to the con artist, unintentionally getting scammed. Okay, so that's something to know with social media. These con artists, they use email. There's online websites that can take advantage of to do like romance scams and even some job opportunity scams, which we'll discuss here in a little bit. And then finally, those that are really advanced can use malware or computer viruses to infiltrate your device. They'll send an email with an attachment, and that attachment can be something infected with a computer virus that can then compromise your device and your information on that device. IRS tax scams are pretty popular. You might get robocalls claiming to be the IRS. It's a big topic for the scammers because IRS involves taxes and involves stimulus checks, involves your social security number. So it's one that's commonly imitated, and imposters take advantage of the IRS name. So if you look at this example here, this is a email allegedly to a taxpayer, and there's a few telltale signs that something's wrong. But what this email is asking the potential victim to do is to click on the blue link to get started to get a refund. And it's $400 extra that could be in your pocket you didn't expect. You think it's the IRS, you'll gladly click on it and answer whatever questions they have so you can get your $400. But unfortunately, this is not really from the IRS. If we look at the top, the from address is irs@getrefundnow.com. Well, .com addresses are not really government addresses. You might catch a few local governments that might use .com, but federal is going to be .gov as a federal email address. So irs.gov is the IRS web domain. So I would think that if it were an authentic IRS email, it would be from an address at irs.gov. But in this case, we have getrefundnow.com. So that's a little telltale sign. The IRS does not reach out to you to give you money. They communicate by postal mail, and unfortunately, they're not really the kind of agency that's going to quickly give you a courtesy call and say, hey, we owe you money. Here's how to get it back. So you kind of have to figure it out on your own and make that call to them. So don't click on any links in web emails or web addresses that you don't know for sure are part of a legitimate site. Irs and Tax Scams continued here. So these communications can come via phone, they can come via email, text, or even through regular postal mail. Again, the con artist is claiming to be the IRS, and they're giving you some kind of urgency, some kind of matter that's unresolved that you need to take care of. It could be that you owe taxes. It could be that you've done something fraudulent with your social security number. So now they're taking some kind of legal action against you. There's a robocall that claims they suspended your social security number. And so now you have to contact them to resolve it. So be mindful of these kinds of communications. To my knowledge, there's no way that your social security number can get suspended. I don't think that's the thing that can happen. Any communication from the IRS, again, would come through the United States Postal Service. So anything through email, through text message, or by phone call to you, I would be very, very cautious. And I would say 99% of the time, it's going to be a scam. These calls, if you engage in them, they're going to try to get your banking information. For example, they could say, we're trying to get your stimulus check for you back to you. Maybe it got sent back to them. And so now they're trying to get it to you. And so they need some information from you, and they want some banking information so they could direct deposit it. All right, that's just an example. So when stimulus checks come out, tax refund checks too, whenever that time of year comes around, these scams start popping up, trying to get a hold of your money. Again, so if they use a storyline where you've done something illegal, allegedly, they may threaten to arrest you. They may threaten to seize some of your property because you haven't paid some taxes. And so when someone hears that, they might get a little nervous and just want to react and try to fix the issue because all they're thinking is, oh my gosh, I'm in trouble. I'm going to get arrested or I'm going to lose my house. And so next thing you know, they're making a payment to the scam artist and losing out on some money. Again, these scam artists, they typically want money transfers, prepaid debit cards, or gift cards. Those gift cards are a favorite because all they got to do is get the numbers on the back of the card and they'll find a reason for you to read it to them by phone. And that money is gone. Once they have it like that, it's gone. They can't really trace it. It's not like it's going to another bank account. So gift cards are really popular with scam artists. Again, the caller ID could be spoofed, so it could appear to be authentic. Your caller ID might read Internal Revenue Service. Unfortunately, the days that you could trust your caller ID are gone. All right, so that caller ID really is a convenience, but it's really not a reliable one. Finally, remember the IRS will never call you to demand payment. You're gonna get a letter in the mail saying you owe some money and to please call them, and they'll give you a phone number in the document that they mail to you. The Federal Trade Commission does have a short video on IRS imposters, which I'd like to share with you, and we'll take a look at it right now.
Scam artists are pretending to be IRS officials to get your money. They'll call, email, or text you, claiming you owe back taxes or there's a problem with your tax return. They even rig caller ID to make the call look official. They play on your fears. They threaten to take your driver's license or sue, arrest, or deport you. They want you to pay fast. What's the truth? The truth is the IRS's first contact with you will always be a letter in the mail. It's not a phone call, email, or text message. They won't insist that you pay with a prepaid debit card, a wire transfer, or cashier's check. Now you know. Has an IRS imposter contacted you? Report it at ftc.gov/imposters.
All right. So the next scam that I want to kind of bring to your attention is court appearances that come through email. If you get one through email, I don't know what your locality may do. I think the only time I've ever gotten an emailed court appearance was whenever I was a deputy sheriff. I would get some from the locality through my sheriff's office email address. But different jurisdictions do different things. I know there were some places in Louisiana that don't do it. It's a paper notice and they find you in person and serve it to you. So be mindful of what the local practice is for the summonses to appear in court. I would say though, this is most of the time going to be a scam. Take a look at it carefully, read it, look at the email address, see where it's from. Is it coming from a Gmail address? Is it coming from a .com address? Those are some telltale signs. If you think it might be an authentic summons, use a number that you know, either using YouTube, not YouTube, using Yellow Pages or White Pages. Look up a local number that you can trust, that you know is good, and then contact them directly and say, hey, I got an email claiming that I have to appear in court. Did y'all send it? And then they'll be quick to tell you if they sent it at all. They may not even send these summonses via email, and then clarify that. Again, they'll do an attachment where if you download the attachment, it exposes your device to malicious software. And unfortunately, at that point, you might need to get some tech support locally to kind of clear that up. Here, I have a graphic. This one shows an example of a fake digital subpoena. This is something that occurred out of California. I think it was targeting high-level executives in some large companies in that area. And so it would look like it's a legitimate subpoena to appear in civil court, and it would ask the reader to please download the entire document and take a look at it. And so when they would do that, their device would be compromised due to the attachment containing computer software that is programmed to circumvent some security and get some information from your device. Okay, so if you look at it, it appears like it could be legitimate at face value, but unfortunately, this is just a really good scam. This next one was actually shared with me by someone in my region. They said that they had someone that they knew that received this letter, and they were concerned, and it was brought to their attention, and they shared it with me. This is a scam. This one claims to be the Treasury Department, and it's claiming that this person had concealed some money in some kind of parcel, and that they were aware of it, and that they had been issued a fine of over $200,000. I think it's $255,000. And so this is a fine that they were going to have to pay within a certain time frame, or I think the case would be escalated. So it had some information on there that's redacted. They claimed that there was a sender from Switzerland, and then it had information on the target victim on there. Okay, so if you look at it, and it's got the big red letters, and it's got the seal of the Treasury Department. It's got some personal information that's directed towards the target victim. So, and you know, it's real intimidating if you look at it. But there's some telltale signs. I think they overdid it with the letterhead and the color. It's pretty expensive to send a color letterhead over and over out to the general public. I think the government kind of takes a little bit more conservative efforts. But let's look at the red seal on the right side. There's no impression on that seal. That's a seal that you could buy from Amazon.com blank, and then put your own image on. So that's a telltale sign. They put this stamp right over the signature saying Department of the Treasury, United States, and they misspelled United States. So telltale sign there. And if you read through the document, there'll be some grammatical issues there that show you that it wasn't written by a professional. So something to be aware of. Authority scams can involve other entities. Again, they can impersonate your local police department. I've heard of that happening. I've heard of people getting letters in the mail, be in their local sheriff's office, but it was a scam. They can impersonate immigration. They can impersonate a variety of different folks. And so just be mindful when you get these calls. If you answer them, don't give any personal information out. Don't give any banking information out. Don't make any payments. Yeah, if they claim to be an authority, take their name and what the issue is, and then hang up. And then you find a reliable phone number for that agency, and you call them back and see if that was a legitimate call made to you. Phishing texts have been popular. I think recently I've gotten a lot on my cell phone. These are texts that are meant to lure you into a scam. So for example, Amazon, or a text portraying themselves to be Amazon, let's put it that way. You'll get a text message saying, we couldn't deliver your package. So please contact the courier using this link and arrange another delivery attempt. And a lot of us want our packages. So sometimes we order so much stuff that we don't remember what all's coming to us. We're so used to just getting a box here and there that we don't really pay much mind. And if we get a message saying, hey, there's one with a missed delivery attempt, we might think it's legitimate and click on the link. And again, clicking on that link can either expose you to malicious software. It could expose you to a fake Amazon site, asking you to sign into your account. And next thing you know, you're typing in your username and password into a website that's operated by the con artist. This next one here is a screenshot from my personal phone. This is claiming that I want an espresso coffee machine and wanted me to click on the link. Not going to happen. Scam artist, sorry. I deleted this after taking the screenshot picture because I thought it'd be great to add to my presentations. But this is an example of a potential phishing text and scam because I didn't enter into any drawing or an espresso coffee machine. So I know I didn't enter any drawings. Additionally, Amazon's it's allegedly from Amazon, but it's a phone number that's not like an 800 number. I don't know whose number that is. And additionally, on the link, it's like .co/ couple of letters that to me seem suspicious. So I'm not going to click on that. So earlier I mentioned social media and how you got to be careful who you let into your friend circle. But also if your name and passwords out there on the dark web, someone can try to log into your account and gain access. No matter how they end up getting access, whether it be through unauthorized use of a name and password, or if they became friends with you on your social media profile, they can use photos and information that's on there to kind of create a duplicate profile, as I mentioned earlier, and take advantage of that. They may send urgent messages. Again, I mentioned this earlier, requesting money from your friends, that it could be an emergency. And another one that's really not much of an emergency, but it has worked that I've heard of is, hey, I'm heading out of town. I need to run and get a gift card for my niece's birthday. Can you go get $100 gift card for me and send me pictures of it, and then I'll pay you back. I'll Venmo you $100. You know, and you think it's from your friend, but it's not. It's from a con artist that's imitating or impersonating, excuse me, your Facebook friend or whatever social media source you use. Fake job posting scams. So this is important if you're out there looking for a job and you're surfing Google or these other job boards, looking for an opportunity, right, to get a better job, get a better income. And as you know, whenever you're looking for work and you're applying at jobs, you're throwing out a lot of personal information. You're throwing out your work history, where you live, email address, your experience, and so on. So in the hustle and bustle of looking for work, you might overlook some telltale signs that you might be dealing with a fake job opportunity. So be very mindful of that. The FBI does have a press release that came out in April discussing this, and I would encourage you to kind of Google that later on your own time about these fake job opportunities. What they'll do is they'll put a fake job up on a job board. The potential victim can then see the job and then apply. They might go as far as having an interview. They might mail you a packet of information as a part of an onboarding process. And in that information, they're asking for your banking and direct deposit information. They're asking for your social security number. They're asking for all kinds of valuable information that they could use to then take your money and take your identity and do bad things. So be very careful. If you're going to apply at a company, do some research on the company. Is it a legitimate company? What's their web address? Is it the same one that is directing you to? Is the job posted on the job board also posted on the company's website? Very, very important to do a little bit of legwork on it. And I know it kind of bites a little bit because you're already having to upload your resume, and on top of that, they ask you to re-input all the information that you have on your resume onto the application. And so I know it's more work, but really you got to protect yourself. So if you're dealing with an opportunity and you're just not familiar with that company or that agency, then do a little bit of homework on it. Make sure you're not falling into some kind of trap and giving your information out there. It's been known that, folks will lose a couple $100s to a couple $1,000s in these kinds of scams. You know, they'll come up with a reason for you to pay money. For example, like, oh, well, we got to do a background check, or we got to do a physical on you, but it needs to be paid in advance. And so please send us $300 to kind of take care of this and your ID and what have you. And so folks are sending $300 to thinking that they're getting onboarded to a new job opportunity. And next thing you know, they just lost out on some money. So there's some tips on how to kind of tell that you're dealing with a fake job opportunity here on the screen. So hopefully this is helpful. You know, take a picture of it real quick if you can with your phone, or look it up on the FBI's press release. Again, this is regarding fake job opportunities or fake job postings that are scams. Lottery scams. So I think this might affect older adults, probably disproportionately, but it could happen to anyone. You know, they get a call claiming that they won the lottery. Usually it's a foreign lottery or some lottery they never heard of. And they won, but they got to pay a couple of administrative fees, or they got to pay taxes, and then they'll get their money. And so that's the general premise of the scam. First off, please, if you don't remember buying a ticket to the lottery, then you probably didn't win anything. You're not the lucky guy today, unfortunately. I know that the few times that I bought a lottery ticket, you know, I kind of keep it in a safe place, and I try to remember to check it by the draw date. And then if it's a scratch off, then obviously you would do that probably pretty quickly soon after you bought it. But you know, this scam does work. You know, they're calling saying, "Hey, you won a lottery in the Czech Republic." And they'll come up with a story, and people believe in it, and they'll hand over some money, and they get duped, unfortunately. So be mindful of this. It is illegal to play a foreign lottery, so that's a big no-no. Also, the area codes, whenever they call you, and this could apply to any scam, there are some foreign area codes that look like they could be United States area codes. So be careful. If you're calling an area code, you're not familiar with it, maybe look it up, find out where it's at. Some of these foreign area codes can act like a 900 number. And if you're not familiar with a 900 number, it basically charges you a couple bucks a minute that you're on that call. So you could easily rack up a high phone bill, and the scammer gets some money in their pocket. This next video is from WCVB Channel 5 Boston, and it discusses lottery scams. And this video here is about this poor woman who lost $27,000 in a lottery scam. So let's take a quick look at that.
5 investigates with a deeper look at those annoying scam calls that most of us get every single day. They're actually a big crime and can often trick our loved ones. 5 investigates, Karen Anderson, found this is a growing problem, most frequently targeting the senior population, Karen.
Yes, and Maria, the FBI says last year in Massachusetts, 1,200 people over the age of 60 lost more than $11 million to scammers. The financial losses are actually believed to be much higher because many older Americans never report it because they feel ashamed or embarrassed. Well, tonight, we hear about the scams and the fallout from a woman who never told anyone what was happening.
I was flying high with all the things I could do. I truly believed that this was going to be mine.
Joan Beavers is a retired school principal and nationally known dog breeder.
I love my dogs.
In 2013, Joan received a call that would change her life. She was told she'd just won $2.5 million in the lottery. All she needed to do was pay a lawyer's fee, some taxes, and the money would be hers.
Not only could I get out of debt, but how could I help this one and how could I help that one?
When they asked her to put $400 on a money pack card, she did it. When they told her to wire money, she did. But the calls and the payment demands kept on coming. Joan was told each one would be the last, and then she would get her millions.
I was late for school many times. because I would run down to get it out really early, because all I had to do was send him $150 and it would get this thing rolling. I believed him because he was so believable. He was so believable. He had the name of all the restaurants in the area. He knew all the streets. He knew everything about my home.
Joan got to a point where she couldn't pay her mortgage. She sold her life insurance policy, borrowed from family and friends.
How much did you lose?
I lost $27,000. It's a great loss.
Joan was ensnared in what's known as a Jamaican lottery scam. Scammers there target people in the U.S. and also hire or dupe people here to assist in their criminal con game.
They see these people as prey.
Michael Kroll is the assistant special agent in charge of the Boston office of Homeland Security Investigations, or HSI.
Once they get money from these victims, it's like blood in the water. These criminal networks and these transnational criminal organizations have started to become much more efficient in how they target their victims.
Sounded like I had won something.
Even 95-year-old former FBI Director William Webster and his wife were targeted in a Jamaican lottery scam. In this video posted on the FBI website, you can listen in as the conversations go from nice
72 million. You're the first place winner.
to nasty.
I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill your husband. I'm going to set your house on fire.
The lottery scam is one of many targeting older Americans. The number one scam, con artists who pose as the IRS. Others impersonate police, utility employees, or tech support workers. Federal investigators tell 5 Investigates the fastest growing scheme is the romance scam, where criminals pose as prospective partners on dating websites.
I didn't think anyone did this to people. Why would I think someone would do this to another human being?
After a year and a half, Joan finally admitted to herself she'd been duped. She wrote a letter to the U.S. Embassy in Jamaica. 4 months later, she got a call from an agent with HSI. As a result of her case, 4 people were arrested.
If you could say something to the scammers right now, what would you say?
Please leave people alone. You know, we're good people. You know, we're good people. We've worked hard all our life. You know, leave the elderly alone.
And investigators say there are common things to look out for to avoid these scams. If anyone tells you you won money but wants money in exchange, or they tell you to buy gift or money cards, you're likely being duped. HSI says call your local police department for advice and help. Karen Anderson, 5 Investigates.
All right. So be very mindful about lottery scams. Another common scam is healthcare scams. So those that may use Medicaid or Medicare, they could be targeted by scammers and ask for that Medicaid or Medicare number, and they can make fraudulent claims against Medicaid or Medicare and get some money from the government. That's everyone's taxpayer dollars. They will get it through a scam and pocket that money. And that will hurt also the end user, because, you know, now maybe, for example, if they were qualified for a program and a fraudulent claim was issued in their name, then now they're no longer available and they'll have to go through a lot of red tape to clear that up. But they'll do this through phone calls, you know, claiming to be either Medicaid or Medicare or some kind of healthcare provider. They might say that they want a free device. You know, they qualify for this equipment. It's no charge. They just need to get their Medicaid number and it'll be sent to their house. And so, unfortunately, again, this is a scam that does work and it robs people of their money and benefits. If you feel like your identity if you feel like your identity has been stolen, identity theft has a few steps that you can do. Immediately, first thing you should do is place a freeze on your credit. TransUnion, Equifax, Experian, those are the 3 credit bureaus. I would contact each of those 3 credit bureaus through their phone numbers or their websites and freeze your credit. It doesn't cost anything to do this, okay? So be careful if you go through the website, because they'll try to sell you a service to monitor your credit, which is totally up to you if you want to get, but to freeze your credit, it is free. And what that does is it blocks your credit file from being pulled without additional authorization by you, and they'll call you if they want to pull the credit. So it's very valuable. You don't have to be a victim of identity theft to do this. If you just want to be cautious and keep your credit under lock and key, feel free to do this today. Again, no charge. You can lock it up, I think, for a year or up to 2 years. Don't recall off the bat. And if you do need to pull your credit, then all you have to do is log onto the website and temporarily lift that freeze. And you can lift it for a day, you can lift it for a week, or depending on what your needs are. Another step that's very important, file that local police report, okay? If you are the victim of identity theft, a crime has happened, then you need to file that police report to document what's happened, okay? Now, the reality is, if you got conned out of, let's say, $1,000 via phone, and the perpetrator is possibly in another country, your local county police, your local city police are going to probably have to pass that case on to another authority to kind of really go after this person. So, but they will at least start the initial report. So file a police report to document what's happened. If you, for example, find it, there's a credit card open in your name and it's not yours, contact that credit card. So if it's Old Navy, you contact Old Navy and say, hey, my credit says that I have a credit card with you at Old Navy. I don't have one. This is not authorized. And then they'll go through the steps to close that account out. Try to get that in writing too, a letter from them saying that they closed it out and that you reported it as fraud. You see charges on your bank statement, contact the bank. If you see charges on your credit card, contact the credit card. Say, hey, these are not authorized. This is activity that I think is fraudulent. It's very important to kind of keep an eye on those statements. And I think a lot of us just get them monthly and see what the total due is that month and what the total balance is. And we roll our eyes and make our payments and move on. But we really have to kind of take a look and see, well, what charges, what kind of activity has happened over the past 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, okay? Keep an eye on it, just a quick glance. It takes just a minute. If you see a charge on there for $200-300 you didn't make, all right, time to make some calls and get this thing locked up and before they take some more money, okay? Online, the FBI has ic3.gov. That's an online location where you can make a report about some internet crimes that you may come across. So that could be these suspicious emails, spoofed websites, etc. The Federal Trade Commission also has ftc.gov. They also offer a location where you can make some reports about identity theft and cyber crime. Here's some additional resources. So again, these are the phone numbers for the 3 credit bureaus: Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. You always have your local police or sheriff's office you can call. At the very least, you can call them and get some advice on what to do next. Federal Trade Commission has 877 ID theft. And for those that are 60 years of age or older, they can call the Elder Fraud Hotline, which is run by the Department of Justice and guarantees that they won't go through a menu of automated prompts. You'll get a live person to help you right away. That number is 833-FRAUD-11. So that's run through the Department of Justice. These are all great resources to get started should you find yourself, unfortunately, a victim of identity theft or one of the scams that I just mentioned. So that was a quick overview. It's kind of like just throwing the book at you real quick. It's real basic. There's a lot more to it. We could probably talk about it in a lot more depth, but for the sake of time, that's about it for today. I'll be glad to answer any questions. My email is on the screen, and I now pass it over to Marianne.
Thank you, Stephen, for your excellent presentation on how to avoid being scammed. This presentation is part of Project Community Connect's week-long series of workshops geared to those individuals and families on the verge of homelessness and working families who struggle financially to make ends meet. If you wish to participate in the other free workshops, go to unitedwaynca.org/PCC registration. And also, if you wish to reach Stephen, his contact information will be found later at unitedwaynca.org. Thank you.
Thank you.